Our next speaker is Matt Gonzalez, who's a politician, a lawyer, an activist prominent in San Francisco politics. He has been a supporter of immigrant workers' rights, whistleblower protections, and the promotion of living wage. Matt Gonzalez holds a bachelor's degree from Columbia University and earned his JD from Stanford Law School in 1990. He worked as a lawyer on immigration issues, pending death penalty cases, and gender discrimination and religious clause issues. He worked for the Public Defender Office in San Francisco and was named the Lawyer of the Year in 2000. And he is the current running mate of independent presidential candidate Ralph Nader. Please help me welcome him.
Thank you. There was so much excitement when Nancy Pelosi became the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Do you remember that? It was in January of 2007. This is one of the headlines back then. Pelosi vows no blank check on Iraq funds. And this is a quote. "The American people and the Congress support those troops," she added. "But if the president wants to add to this mission, he's going to have to justify it, and this is new for him, because up until now, the Republican Congress has given him a blank check with no oversight, no standards, no conditions." Quote, Pelosi's comments mark the first suggestion by a Democratic congressional leader that Congress could use its authority over the nation's finances to hasten an end to the war. Her remarks point toward an aggressive stance on Iraq and congressional Democrats in their opening days of control of the House and the Senate. Well, just to give you an idea, the year before Pelosi became the Speaker of the House, the war appropriations for the war in Iraq was $116 billion. 116. Pelosi's first year, it was 165 billion. Blank check, I think. Have you seen the headlines the last couple of days? They are proposing $179 billion for war appropriations. Now, you've got even more than what was passed last year. This is on top of military budget in this country of over $450 billion. So you're talking all your tax money, close to 60% is going to the military or to the war. How did the Democrats explain this? $178 billion, and in fact, instead of one war appropriation bill, they're putting the two together this year, so they only have to vote on it right now and give the president the money he needs to keep waging war. Now, if you were an opposition leader, you would say, we're going to take every opportunity to fight an appropriation. You'd say, we're against the war, we'll filibuster, we'll fight, we'll do whatever we need. We'll put conditions on these appropriations. John Murtha, Democrat from Pennsylvania, says, you know, you vote one time and get the money out of the way. Get it out of the way of what? What are we going to get the money out of the way of? Could it be that having to vote on a war appropriation later in the year might actually send a message to the American people that the Democrats are not an opposition party if they continue to support these appropriations? Could it be that what we're getting it out of the way of is the focus of the American people, because we need them desperately, if we're the Democratic Party, we need them to believe that we're fighting this president, we're doing everything we can to stop. And yet, it's simply not true. Now, the Democratic Party candidates for president would not vow to get out of the war in Iraq after 4 years in office. They won't commit to that, but they're anti-war. If you probe them, Amy Goodman interviewed Senator Obama, Larry King Live, what is he saying? He's saying how fond he is of G.W. Bush's foreign policy and how effectively he handled the first Gulf War. He's talking about leaving enough soldiers in the region to do counterterrorism, but he won't quantify how many. Democratic think tanks tell us it's tens of thousands of soldiers would have to remain there. When Amy Goodman asked him about this, he says, well, they don't have to be in Iraq. Maybe we'll put them in Kuwait. And when he's asked about the private contractor soldiers, 140,000 of them, he does not commit to getting them out. What kind of opposition party is this?